We will be taking in a webinar for unified data governance. I'm super thrilled to have you all. Thank you for registering. Today, I'll be delivering the webinar on unified data governance along with my a very good friend and a very good colleague as well, Sher. He's a senior cloud solution architect for data and AI at Microsoft. Got a lot of accomplishments under his belt, and we are very thrilled to have him on board and actually join us and dispense all the knowledge that he got on this subject. And along with that, I'm a technology solutions professional for Veraqor and leading the data analytics part in here. Now, without further ado, let's move inside and get into the game. So before we deep dive into the fun discussion and discovery, we'd like to share the general audience analysis that we took for attending a data governance workshop, and it feels safe to actually imply the same for our esteemed audience today. If you see yourself in any of these categories, like which are we are investigating and starting a data governance initiative, which is 65% of the people who are in that stage wanted to join it. And then we have tried and failed at data governance, or we are struggling to get traction, or we're in the thick of implementation and we have implemented and looking to improve. Now, if you see yourself in any of these categories, stick till the end, as this would be the best 30 minutes you spend knowing about the next step that would take you closer to establishing a data governance haven at your organization. Now, let's move to what our agenda dictates and see what we have in the bag. We start with understanding unified data governance. Then we move towards the benefits and how they trickle down into your organization's department, seeing if your company is undergoing a digital transformation or what's in it for your organization. We see the practical steps to establish data governance and maintain it as well. And we see the teams and the tools and the maturity model that you would need in order to get to the next step. And then we also share some of the use cases that we have from our existing customers and from the market as well to get inspired, some case studies with successful governances as well. And then at the end, we show you how Veraqor actually can enable your success about these and what we have in the back for you to take you to the next level. Now, I would give the floor to Mr. Shah so he could actually go about the data governance.
Yeah, so hi everyone. The first thing is to understand what data governance is, because you will see a lot of these terminologies floating around and everyone has a different understanding. So we want to put this definition in place. There is different type of understanding, but essentially data governance is who you are, like the stakeholder here, what action you want to perform or people can perform on the data, using what methods and in which situations, because you don't want to like enable everything for everyone. And these are the controls that are in place. Now, as a someone coming from a technology company, you maybe a lot of customers tell that, okay, what are the technologies that are there? And people think that the technology will solve everything, but the data governance is a bit different, because you need to first define the policy, the processes, the standards, and then the technology can help you to give you visibility of your data states, whether you are in compliance with your policies and procedures or not. So these are some of the things that you need to be aware of beforehand, that the technology will not be able to solve everything for you. You have to first define the policy and the procedure, and the technology comes later on. Next slide. Yeah. So why the data governance is coming like an important topic now, right? You will be aware of like different regulations now coming into place, like the GDPR or the EU data protection policies. Similarly, I have given like I'm from Qatar, that's why you will see the flag there. But yeah, you can see that the different countries are putting the policies in there to have the privacy, the data privacy rules and regulation. And then companies in that country or like globally who are doing business with other countries, they have to adhere to that those policies or those procedures. The data cannot be misused. So even if I'm a citizen of one country and I'm coming to another country, my data needs to be used in certain way. It cannot be like exploited in a different way, or like the law and the regulations of just the local country. So next slide, please. And I'm also giving like, since maybe most of you guys are in here from the Middle East, so there are different policies. This is just a reference to that. Like you can see, like Saudi Arabia has been working on this data protection law for a while now. It's in place now, and you can see that, for example, there is still time for organization to fully enforce these kind of policies by the 14th of September 2023 last year. So now, like, organization needs to understand it, right? Like understanding these laws and then like putting the policies and the procedure in place, whether their technology can support it or not. So there was a time gap, and now people needs to adhere to these policies and procedures and laws.
Yeah, thank you, Shesha, for that wonderful intro into the laws, because it's very important. There has to be initiative, or there have to be incentive for people to actually move to data governance, and that plays a very important part in putting the picture into the zone so that the next step can be taken as soon as possible. Moving on and building upon the definition that you actually give for the data governance, we see that the unified data governance is a bigger part of the data governance itself, and like accumulates a lot of other stuff as well. Like, for example, the Data Governance Institute actually defines the unified data governance as a practical and an actionable framework to help a variety of data stakeholders across any organization to identify and meet their information needs. Now, this might sound a mouthful, but it's very simple. That like simple question a CDO or even a data engineer is asking around the organization, like, how do I find the data? Or how do I access the data? Like, there are multiple teams which are sitting around, and there's no Bible, there's no documentation about how to actually go about it and how old my data is, because there has to be archiving rules as well. Or like sometimes you also see that there is a lack of coordination among the departments. Like, but why is my report different from yours? Like, the finance might ask the sales department, why are my numbers different than yours? And that's basically coming in from the fact that the governance is lacking, and the data is not actually in one place, in the one format or in a zone. Then definitely there is security and compliance involved in the data governance, and it actually takes you to the various labels of governance increase in the leakage potential as well. And management comes at the end, because once we have everything into a singular place, we actually form the hierarchy as to who is to access what kind of data, and what kind of data would be available at what level. At very granular level, we could go and define exactly what the RBAC would be. Now, all of this comes into the unified data governance umbrella, and that's what we aim to achieve for any of the organization as well. Now, this over here, we see that it's a fabricated conversation that you see on the screen, but it's a very real conversation that we have had with multiple of our clients, and I've tried to summarize it for you as to how the conversation goes. We see today that the data is actually the most valuable resource, and but without governance, it's like an untamed frontier, chaotic, unpredictable, and untimely productive as well. Here is the reality: successful digital transformation hinges on data governance, and that's how we actually go about it. You can't unlock the insights hidden within the fuel strategic decisions without bringing order to the data wilderness. And a strong data governance actually is about creating a custom roadmap that we do here happily for you, with the partnership of Microsoft, to set out clear standards and empower teams and ownerships, and define the roles and responsibilities that would actually enable you to go to the next step and have an organization that you're proud of. What we actually do with the multiple levels that we have, the organizational levels, and the impact that it does. Some of the examples goes on in the management, finance, sales, procurement, production, the legal department. For instance, for management, like the top management especially, this will ensure, like, if you get the data governance in place, it actually ensures the oversight of corporate data assets, their value as well, and how the business actually changing the operations. And then the market opportunities actually open up themselves, because now the things are making sense, because data is all about giving you the power to make decision on time and with the right assets as well. For finance, it could be to safeguard the consistent and accurate reporting, something that we've been seeing our customers have been reporting on a normal, usual basis as well. For sales and marketing, it would actually enable the insights that the customers are looking forward to. For procurement, it fortifies the cost reduction and operational efficiency initiatives, because at the end, it's all about getting to know how much you need to procure and how much you have already available. And to meet that gap, you need to have some data available, which is in a nice place to actually get a quick look and get to the decision faster as you can. For production and legal, same thing goes, that there are compliances and you have to manage things according to what you have already in place and where you want to get to. Now that gap is actually managed through governing the data in a place and putting it into a system so that everybody has the access to it and it's transparent. And that actually makes the impact and improves the overall granularity as well. Now, what are the actions and what are the outcomes that we can manage from the data governance initiative, right? Some of the consolidated actions that we have put around are to establish the data ownerships and policies, to implement information lifecycle, and in turn, we get trustworthy data. It's consistent, decisions are made faster, the risk is reduced, and the compliance is increased. And that's the ultimate goal usually today with the advent of the AI as well, because there's a lot of things even in the AI produces stuff that has to be taken care of. Then we also define and enforce the access controls and implement data security measures. That is especially for data protection, so that we have enhanced privacy and minimized security is something, like we call as the least privileged access given to anybody. Then we optimize the data storage and accessibility to improve the data quality and standardization as well. And that actually is incrementing the profits. The outcome is most liked by our customers as well, where the data-driven insights and optimized operations are actually giving a higher chance of capturing the market and penetrating it as well. Again, eliminating data cleansing and structuring it and reducing the network and optimizing it. It's something that we have been doing with the ETL as well, and it comes in that part. But if you look at the bigger picture, it's a part of the governance where we have the improved workforce performance as an outcome and faster planning cycles as well. This reduces the time and the efforts that the managerial positions put in to get to a final phase so that they can actually modify or move to the next place as well. Then we keep monitoring and evaluating the data governance maturity, because it's like a spectrum. It's not something black and white, like you're here and then the next day when we have implemented in a certain time, you get to that stage. It's a spectrum. Slowly and gradually, the whole culture develops and the documentations develop. And at the end, we have a sustainable data governance program, which increases the data value and alignment with business goals as well. And it's one of my beautiful sayings that goes, not my saying, actually, it's a saying that we have seen resonating in the market a lot, which is garbage in and garbage out. And we want to avoid that with governed data and see the output. Now, data governance actually means once you have it, it means better. I mean, I'm just going to summarize it for you. It means better, leaner, cleaner data, which means better analytics, which means better decision making, which means better business results, and better put market positioning as well, because now you have the factors are available to actually position yourself properly and have self-analysis as well. And then you get the mind share in your space with the reputation. The reputation comes along with it. And once you have the reputation and the brand is recognized, you get to better profit margin. And everybody likes this one, because that's what we are aiming for, along with the excellence in everything that you do. So, Mr. Shesha, what exactly do you think is in the data governance framework, right? I mean, that's what we're interested in as well.
Yeah. So, far as you know, right, like there is different Lego pieces in here, and putting that in the framework give you like a kind of view how to put the Lego pieces together to build like a house or like a framework. So this framework, like as I was explaining previously, a lot of time like we think technology will do everything, but it's not the case. Like you have to first define your vision and strategy. And the vision and strategy is where you want to go, and it's like an ongoing journey. You cannot like define like one step and you just say it's like done. No, it's like constant journey, like things like that. As an example, if you are maintaining a quality of the data, right, it's an ongoing process. You will rules will change and things will evolve. You want to maintain the quality of the data accordingly. So with this diagram, I have put these things into place, that from a vision point of view, like the companies need to first define the governance vision and the strategy, what they want to achieve, how they want to achieve it, where they want to go. And afterwards, they need to define the three P's. The P's are that, for example, people, for example, who need to do what are the different roles, what are the stakeholders involved, so defining those people. And then the policy, like, for example, if you want to define like the data retention policy, how long you can retain the data, or when you need to destroy it, what are the qualities that you need to achieve, what is the policy that, for example, as someone from outside the organization can have access to a data or not, or for how long. So these are the policies. And then the processes are like, for example, if you need to define how to acquire the data, like what are the processes that you need to define. So defining these things will first give you a solid foundation that you have everything in place. And then the technology part will come to give you visibility into these processes, whether you are in alignment of your policies and procedure or not, and whether the stakeholder or the people are doing the right things on the data or not. So having that visibility will be provided by technology, and you have to define these processes. But everything revolves around the data, right? Like, and the data, as we know, that it resides in different places. It is not just on the cloud. It can be on your own data center, and then it can be defined on edge. One of the data, call it a governance pieces, that you want to know where the data is moving, whether it's moving from the on-prem to the cloud or cloud to on-prem. You want to trace this traceability or lineage as well. So that is part of the process as well. On the next slide, I'll explain the data life cycle. Fahad, if you can go to the next slide, please. So now I left this one, right, because it just like put everything around the data. Because why data? Because we discussed, right, privacy. If my data is in there, I want to make sure that if I've consented for someone to be use my data in a particular way, I want that to be adhered to that as well. So if you look into this cycle, when you acquire the data, that is when you are a data is created, right? So before even storing that, you have to define how will you protect it. If you don't have the protection policy, you can just put it in there, and the first day your data will be leaked. And you know better that, for example, if data is leaked, you are in compliance. You can have threats to people life, even like there can be different scenarios in there as well. Once you store it, you need to understand how you will use it, because you store the data for using, right? But the usage needs to be at a particular point in time. Like if I give you my data and I just say that you should use it just for your business purposes, not to send me campaign emails or like exploit my data or send my data to someone else. So you need to have that usage policies and how it will be used, who is using it. That bucket. Then you want to maintain the quality. A simple example is if I'm moving around or from one place to another, you want to maintain my addresses or my data accurate. If my status has changed, like I have moved, or let's say my marital status has changed, you want to update that. So that is the maintenance. Then if I have given you, let's say, each individual now control their data, right? Like the companies needs to not control the data. It should be the user who are controlling their own data. So if I've given you the consent that you can only use my data for, let's say, 1 year, and then let's say the law is that you can only maintain it for 3 years or 5 years for some regulatory purposes. Afterwards, you have to destroy it. So this is the whole life cycle when it's created to when or how it will be destroyed. Like even if the destroyed is something that you can delete it from the disk, but you know that the disk can be restored back, or you can do something else on top of it. So you have to define exactly from the vision point of view what you want to do, because this is becoming so important. And some of the things, like I'm a technical person, right? Like I'll just think about databases mostly. But it's not about that, right? If you go to a particular website, there is usually a pop-up that there's a cookie which is tracking your usage. Now, how that cookie is installed, whether you have consented to that, so that whole things in there, tracking of that or the usage of that, that should be giving the visibility, like how it should be used. If I want to destroy my data from some company, I should be allowed to destroy my data as well. So just wanted to emphasize this just to make sure that people understand this. And this is like the whole governance. A lot of technology is also not there yet to provide like the end-to-end picture as well. But we are going step by step to achieve the ultimate goal.
Definitely, definitely. I think we are moving in the right direction, and Microsoft has been taking big leaps towards that, and we are very excited as to what's coming up as well. And with that said, I just want to remind that there's a live demo coming as well. So tune in for that so we can see what new has come up, and what we are also going to compare it with the older version of what Purview offered us. But before that, we want to make sure that you, all the users and all the audience understands that we do not just believe in the theory of data governance or the unified data governance around everything, but there has to be certain outcomes and tangible stuff as well. Like a data governance strategy tends to remain theoretical until it actually includes a few tangible components. And some of those are data quality definitions that you get at the end. So after you're done with you're registering your sources and getting the analysis done, and once you are in the final stages of the session and you're getting to see what we have done about the governance, you see a data quality definitions document, which it's a metric which helps determine the organization's expectations and need for data quality. For instance, a book selling company may have a lower tolerance for data quality than a chemical manufacturing company. So you have to define the standards accordingly, right? And then there is the business glossary as well, because every SME, subject matter expert, has his own terminology to define a certain stuff in their industry. But that doesn't mean that it differs across the different departments. So for example, a shared glossary across the organization helps to record the meaning of all data, ensuring clarity, and that a standard schema is actually used for the same data fields across the organization. And there are roles and responsibilities. It is imperative to have a dedicated team set up, which we always recommend to maintain the policies around data as well. Then we have the metadata creation, which is to help track the relationships among data. And this is like we call it a data Bible, which is, it has the data such as similar to meanings or data used by similar businesses, processes, or data specific to departments, and so on and so forth. You get the drift. Apart from these, essential to teach the culture of active participation from company employees is very essential as well, which allows users to indicate that when the data is incorrect, or when promoting better quality data and building trust in the data becomes so important that it's inculcated into the working of every employee. And at the end, we have the governed data catalogs, which are I've marked it as blue because those are the super important ones, more essential than anything else, because these data catalogs actually help teams to understand the origin of the various data points. And that actually helps to put it into separate buckets of reporting or AI usage or model training. And that helps everybody across the room. In addition, catalogs can actually group data into related collections based on how previous users access the data. So we get the drift as to how the data was used and how we can actually use it in the future as well. So these are some of the tangible components of the outcome components that we get out of a data governance strategy, which is successful. Next, definitely we've been talking about data governance, right? And there are certain tools where we have the data cataloging going on. We have certain tools where we have the lineages going on. But along with that, we have the master data management as well. What we understand from our working and from our customers and from how the way things go is that data governance is the strategic approach. Stop it there. And then MDM is the tactical execution. Another stop over there. So we want to combine the strategic approach with the tactical execution. All enterprise systems need master data management, and that's something that goes without an exception. Marketing, sales, finance, operations, all of those actually need master data management. There is benefit everywhere in enterprises of like any sizes and in every industry across the globe at any point of the data journey. I mean, I couldn't emphasize it a bit more. It's about the business nouns, the essential elements of your business, the way you actually work, the way you actually combine things, the way you want to have a master data copy so that can be dispersed across all the entities that you have, customers, partners, products, services, anything that you name it. And whatever your business is, it doesn't matter whatever it is, that's where the master data lives and breathes. I mean, you may have the best governance plan on the planet, but well-governed bad data is still bad data. I mean, you could have the best governance laid out, cataloging, lineage done, but if the data is still bad, it's not going to actually work for you, and it's not going to help your business at all. So there's an ultimate trio, complete surety, which is the data governance along with the master data management and the data quality along with it. Now, what we have been pandering and what we have been promoting, what we have been proliferating for a while in the industry is the new fabric that came in. We have immense experience working with Synapse as well, and it has resulted in wonders for multiples of customers across the globe. But now that the fabric is here, we are a big fan of it. And we do want to actually get to the next stage, next place where we have the co-pilot, where we have the infused AI into it. So we want to actually show you how actually the prophecy connects with the prophecy and Microsoft Purview. Why prophecy? Because we are, first of all, we are also definitely gold partners with Microsoft, but we are a gold partner, strategic partner with prophecy as well. And Microsoft trusts prophecy as its own, because the prophecy has actually been designed and invented by the people who have worked in the MDS team for the Microsoft. So Microsoft promotes prophecy as well. What we do over here, what we see on the screen is that we have on the right side, we have the architecture for the fabric, where you have the data coming from disparate sources, Dynamics 365, SAP, JDE, Salesforce, anything that you name, custom apps. And then that data is actually put into the prophecy MDM and there we have multiple tools, actually multiple options in that tool to put in the data stewardship, match or merge the records, have the data quality done for you, and create the workflow so we know exactly where the data is moving from and who are the people who needs to authorize any next step for the data. That creates a master data, a golden copy for you. And along with that, on top of it, we have the Microsoft Purview, which is cataloging the data for you. The master data goes into it, and the governance standards and policies that you define into the Microsoft Purview, along with the help of all the SMEs and the stakeholders that are present on board, actually help to put that golden context govern. And with that, we complete the ultimate trio that we saw in the earlier slide. And the data is put back into the master data. Now that master data is actually used by all the services that we see. Oh, it could be data factory, Synapse data engineering, or data science part, or data warehousing, Power BI. And then that definitely is the analytics parts that's at the end, the Power BI. And that takes it all the way to the insights and the dashboards that the business users see. As a result, we have reliable insights, we have high quality, trusted data, complete, consistent, and accurate, and ready to be used by any of the stakeholders on board. With complete surety of mind, when it comes to decision making, all you got to do is think about how to make it better, how to capture the market more, and how to actually accelerate your success in your business. So let us take care of all that stuff. And after we have governed and contexted master data for you, you just take care of your business objectives and move from there. Yeah, so data protection and privacy is super important as well. And he's super expert on Sher. Like, what do you think about the data protection and privacy on that part?
Yeah. So this is again like a mouthful, right? Like there is multiple things. Like we started with one part, which is like securing the data, like starting from the physical security of the data centers as an example, even how the physical structure or the things are in place. That is like the protection as well. Then, for example, if something is lost, how would you recover it? But when you are storing the data into some of these things, like when you store it, you want to monitor it, right? Because there is a saying is that, for example, if everyone is breached, some people know and some people doesn't know. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to have like the monitoring in place. There will be always attack with you, attack happening on the data, but the monitoring needs to be in place to make sure that it gives you the indication that something has happened. If you know that, for example, something has happened, you can take a corrective action or you can just try to mitigate it. But if you don't even know what has happened at you, even it can be an insider risk as well, right? Like if I'm an employee, I can take the data out or start copying the data or start selling. It's like the individual person as well. But you need to know, for example, what people are doing.
Yeah.
And if there is no monitoring and things like that, it will also be like you would not even know what has happened. And the last thing is the privacy part, right? Like as we are discussing that sometime when I'm talking about technical, right? Like we just say, okay, physical security, storing security and things like that. But we forget about like the privacy. And the privacy is that how my data is going to be used, whether I have consented to that or not. If I haven't consented and you are using it differently, you are in breach. And why this is important, like consider like sometime when I say, okay, you have my ID and the ID might have my date of birth. And the date of birth seems simple, right? Why would be someone interested in my date of birth? But consider you are interviewing me, right? And you know my date of birth. You might be biased before of my age even. that you can say that, for example, Sher is maybe of a particular age. I don't like him because he is not at my age group. So this can have like the unconscious biasness as well. And
Yeah.
these define like what can happen in this scenario, why these are important to do it. Maybe my name, Sher Shah. Sher Shah as an individual name, like it might be of no use. But for example, when you know that this Sher Shah is this particular person working in Microsoft, then it becomes important because now you are identifying a particular Sher Shah, not any Sher Shah in the whole world. So these things are very becoming important. And once you have these things and people are getting aware of this, right? Like why my data is important, how it can be used based on my nationality, my gender, my age, people can start discriminating. So these are the things that define these rules, like not even showing the data to someone, so they didn't even develop these biasness and things like that. So just like on this whole thing, these are different pillars that people needs to be aware of. Some of the things which we are doing for a very long time, we are aware of that and we are conscious about it. But some of the things are coming new, right? Like we don't even understand, coming from different culture, different background. We think, okay, this is a norm, right? Like giving like date of birth or credit cards or things like that to anyone, it's okay because we are friends or family. But it doesn't work like that, right? Like when something breaches or things like that, then it has a wider impact on this. So just to be conscious about all these three different area that a production doesn't mean that you just store the data, apply some keys and just like have some monitoring. No, it is about the usage as well. And you have to make sure that you are in compliance with the laws and the regulation of that country and even the person whose data is protected. And people even define their own laws. Like there will be situation in the future in which I'll define my own law, how I want my data to be used.
Right.
So I just want to, yeah, these are some of the things that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think communicating on that top of what you said, with the age of the AI that's coming in, like there is a bunch of stuff, we're using public documents, public data, public directory, and in that age, we need the protection and policies, privacy policies as well. But I believe that the government is working on the regulations to get that in place as well, and so the enterprise need to move faster on that. What do you think about that, right?
Fat, can you please repeat your question once again, please?
I'm saying that with the advent of the AI that's coming in, we're using the public directory and the public data as well. And so the governments are trying to put the regulations on top of it. And because it's becoming so public to train the data on to train the models on the data that is available, data protection and privacy become even more essential in today's age
Yeah.
with the advent of
Yeah.
AI. Yeah.
Yeah, because most of the time we think that, okay, if the data is in public, we are free to use it. It's not the
Yeah.
case, right? Like you need to be aware of that. If it's available on the public, it's for your own personal use, but you cannot take an advantage out of it. You can just use it for your, like most of the term conditions will be that even if you are using it for your own learning and things like that, you can use it, but you cannot commercialize it. So if you are not aware of that, you can just say, I can even commercialize it. No, you cannot use and take advantage of that. So these are some of the things with the public available data. There was there was a video in which there was one person, I cannot like name exactly, but they were asked whether you how do you train your model, and they said from public data. So public data doesn't mean that you can start working on this, right? But it's becoming a norm that, for example, you can use it. But if it's for the overall public good, maybe like laws and policy can allow that. But we need to be aware of what we are or what are the laws, so we can at least identify that we have done it in the right way.
That makes sense. Thank you for shedding some light on that. Yeah, and then moving on, building on top of whatever we have talked about, definitely everything is not going to happen all by itself. It has to be done by a set of members, set of team. And definitely when like somebody comes into your organization, such as, for example, Veraqor comes in your organization and sets up the whole set for you for the data governance and sets up the strategy for you. Afterwards, there has to be people who actually manage it as well. Now, this is just to give an overall feel about how and what kind of roles are identified in the management part. And data governance actually involves the whole organization to a greater or lesser degree because there are SMEs, the stakeholders involved, but the people who are actually doing the technical stuff, some of them are manager of the data governance who manages and ensures the data governance priorities to stay aligned with the organizational strategies. We have the solution and data governance architect, who the person who's actually bringing in the experience and the expertise about different technological options. that the team has and which will be optimum for the organization, because most of the time it's customized for the organization. There are definitely some boilerplates as well, but customization works on that part as well. And then we have the data analyst, a person who understands the structure of the data and can help visualization and design solutions for critical business insights with the KPIs. Then we have the data strategist, who is a person who defines how data for new applications can actually be designed to keep it aligned with existing data models, which is very important because integration with new stuff is so much more important than taking care of the stuff that you already have, because you understand what you already have. Now, bringing new data inside, a data strategist can actually help to make things happen, where we actually come into the picture and try to fix it for you. But then we have the compliance specialist, because that's becoming so important today's day and age, as we just discussed with Mr. Sher as well, that AI, with the advent of the AI, there is a lot of compliance that coming in. We have only heard about GDPR and HIPAA and some of the compliance along with it, but brace yourself, because there is going to be so many more compliances, because there is so much more new technology coming up. And every data governance team actually needs a specialist to ensure the data quality matches the regulatory requirements as well. There are some of the popular tools we also want to talk about, because we do love the Microsoft stack 100%, but we're technologically agnostic as well. There are some stuff that are coming in. People might have different tools that they're working on, multiple products available in the market, tested, and provide a full package value for the enterprise governance. In order to consolidate the full Microsoft ecosystem, though, we recommend Purview, and it actually Purview presents itself as a great option to achieve all the fronts. I mean, we have tried and tested a lot of tools, but Purview actually stands out. With April 8th, they announced a new version for Purview, which has Copilot, data discovery options, like such a beautiful and easy UI to actually get to, that it trumps everything else. It's easier than ever to have a transparent governance model as well, for our data. I believe let's have a quick look towards that. But before that, let me just tell you how we are actually managing the some of the custom users that we have. First and foremost, I want to discuss about a nationwide retail a chain that we've been managing for a while, and they have been our client for a very long time. What we're doing for them is the master data management, management and cataloging, and governance at large. And for that, for master data management, we've been using Magnitude Kaleido for that, and they've also made some decisions to move to the new Purview setup as well, and that's what we've been giving them. Now, this specific business has around $2 billion valuation, and like spread across the US sector, the whole region, and they're relying on something like that because they do need a master data governance in place so that they can manage millions of products coming in and out. So any kind of retail business would need that for sure. Then we have another client that we're working closely with. One of our esteemed customers is a government justice department from one of the countries, where they have actually moved to the data governance using Purview as well upon our recommendation. It's easing out the access and discoverability of all the data, and we have actually reduced the discoverability time from multiple folds, 3.5x actually. And we have the ease of management of incorporating new data as well, because there are so many new cases coming in, and they wanted to have a transparent look all around. And something we recommended to them was to use the Purview, and they've been very happy about it as well. This is a government level entity that's using the Purview to its fullest. Next, we have the Heathrow Airport case study, which is very famous. This is not our client, actually. It's just a market study that I wanted to share with you because I found it very interesting. That Heathrow Airport, it has around 76,000 people, more than that actually, transiting every day on the airport. I mean, Heathrow Airport could actually qualify for a little city. It's so busy. Every minute, a magnitude of data is shuffled and generated. And to tackle that, Heathrow's ID team's first choice was Azure and Purview. And we can imagine what kind of scalability and what kind of capability Purview has, that it can actually take care of such a huge data. Flight data, they can be huge and massive. And Purview was the first choice for the governance master, scaling as per the need. One of the code that I like from Dave Dreffen, he's actually the Azure Cloud and Data Architect for Heathrow Airport. He says, we have now got technical people and process change people intersecting with our data. Very important. And is this crossroad where Microsoft Purview helps our teams solve our biggest data challenges. And what a beautiful thing to say, because that is exactly what we want to move with and make that crossroad easy for you. Now, moving on to much awaited, we have a live demo. It's going to be taking 5 minutes. Mr. Shah is thrilled to show you how things are going to be shifting from whatever we were using in the current purview. And we are also going to see how the new purview is actually showing us the new technology as well. Mr. Shah will be moving to the screen share, and he'll show you exactly how it's done.
Let me know when you can see my screen. Fahad, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So team, this is as we were discussing, right? Like on the 8th of April, we have released a new version, but I'll be showing the demo on the previous version, but then we will show a demo or a video later on as well on the new experience. But consider that we have talked about multiple personas. The first persona that I was talking about is that, let's say you as a user wants to, let's say you are hired newly in an organization, and you are looking for some information or an asset, let's say a customer information, maybe because of some assignment or things like that you want to find out. Now, if you are new, you would not even know where this data exists. So the first thing is, if you have like this cataloger done, I can easily search for something like customer, and I can find out where my assets exist. So an example, if I, after the filtration, let it appear. So there is different customer assets along in there. But let's say I started with the first one. Let's say this is saying that this asset is on SQL table. This has confidential information. This is certified. That means that the data quality might be good. So let me explore this table as such. Now, what I'll get in here, I'll get the metadata about this asset, which is saying, for example, on the top, I can see that this is certified. That means that this is trustworthy data set. Okay, somebody have actually ranked it as well. Maybe the ranking has a particular meaning. So if you have a definition of this, you will know exactly what this 3-star or 5-star means. Now, if I see here, there is some PII data maybe. Like, for example, there is customer names and phone numbers. Now, name in itself, as I mentioned, it might not be private, but when you are associating it with a phone number or a company, you might be able to identify a particular person who is an individual that can be pinpointed. So then it become like a rule that this become a PII data, like the name with the phone number is a individually identifiable information. Now, the next thing can be of data governance, that you want to know whether this is coming from where, like whether it's the start of the source, or this is coming from some other sources, or that this is a curated data. So this is an example of, let's say, a lineage that you can find out where this data is coming from. And the organization can be complex. The data is moving from one system to the other. Some transformation is applied. So you can see that, for example, how the lineages is coming up from different area. So this is giving you this information. Now, if you want to know, for example, who to contact, right? Because you have got this information, but you don't know who is the system owner or who is the right person to give you more information. So you can go to the contact, identify, for example, that these are the people I need to maybe request or find out more information. Now, as a new user, you might not even be aware. Like, for example, I need to get access to this. Now, I don't even know how to request access. But with the governance tool, now you can easily say that, for example, I'm requesting access. You can put your detail why you are requesting it. It will send an email to the approval, and then they can approve it accordingly as well. So this is just in simple terms, like just quickly, how the catalog is established and how you can get this information out. Once you have access, you want to, let's say, start building report, you click here, it will just start, you can start building the report directly from there as well. So this is the first thing from the experience point of view, that you want to identify or know where your data asset exists. Then the other scenario, where I'm switching the scenario now, that you want to know how to establish this technically. Now, for this part, you have to first define a few things in the experience. Okay, so I'll go here. The first thing is that you want to know what is, for example, let me go to the right stream. Just give me 1 second, team. I'm just trying to go to the right screen. Yeah. So the first thing is consider that you want to define grocery terms. And grocery terms seem simple because it's just usually key and a key value pair. But consider that you have a field which is called text. Now, text is what? Like, for example, Father was telling about like a retail customer. Now, the retail, the text, sorry, the revenue amount, as an example. Revenue amount, whether it's with text, without text, how the revenue is calculated, what is the formula to calculate it. And this definition or formula needs to be put in place so you know exactly how this was calculated and whether this is trustworthy or not. So this is the first thing you need to define, like the grocery terms, and it's usually driven by the business. The other thing is that, for example, you have to define like uh, classifications. And classifications are that, for example, you will have to define what are the different type. Like, for example, if QID or something like that, like national ID card number or something like that, you have to first define that, and then it will be able to, when you are scanning the data, it will be identified. So once you know that, yes, this data is available in my data sets, for example, like a name and phone number, then you will be able to protect it, because you cannot apply like a rigid policy on each and every assets. If you started doing it, you will try to harm yourself as well, or you will protect the data so much that it will be of no use. So you need to know where the right information is, so you can apply the right protection policy accordingly in there. Fat, do you want to ask any question? I thought you wanted something. No? Okay.
No, I'm pretty clear. I mean, thank you for
Okay.
explaining in
Yeah,
details.
and then like the insights, right? Like we are saying that you want to understand your data insights, what is happening, and these are some of the reports, for example, for data stewardship and things like that. You want to know how many assets or classified assets are there, how we are protecting it, whether the policies are in place or not. So they are all the ones that you put in place here. For example, on classification, you want to know whether you have data related to government, maybe like the health card number, or like say the national ID card number or passport number, or personal, whether it's a phone or things like that. So you want to identify how many assets are there, and you can like have these insights which will give you this source visibility. So we will switch to the new experience. I'll just quickly show you the experience, but since it is very new, I'm not able to like demo that live. But yeah, the experience will look like this. We will just show you one example of a video demo that will give you an idea how this will look like, but that will be available in all the regions very, very soon. Father, over to you.
Yeah, so this is exactly the new experience that we have got into. We're going to be walking through an overview of the new Microsoft Purview data governance solution. It's a beautiful solution that has come upon, and as I've already told, that the intuitive and the new UI that have been posted for it is just beautiful, because it's so easy to use. It's for the end business user and not just for the developers. Over here, we see that every product capability and feature, but rather we'll give you a broad sense of the overall solution. Now, for this new version, the goal was to bring a single integrated solution for all the data and objectives in mind. And what we see over here is a data product search. We see that finally it's very simple for us to enable users across the organization and to easily discover, understand, and access the data as well. Some of the business domains that we can see, usually what we have is the sales, the personal health, marketing, and the human resources. And we see that the business concepts have already been defined into different projects. Now, a good thing about Purview is that it picks up the sources itself and then defines it, classifies it, and does the scanning on top of it all by itself. In turn, you get a very nice, palette of glossary terms, or like the classification that could be done on top of them, or the PII identification as well. And then definitely someone has to go in there and decide for themselves as to how this can be customized or managed through that as well. Now, if we understand all of this and go towards it, there's critical data elements as well, which define exactly how complicated undertaking have to be constantly stayed on, and to see the growth as well. One of the entity that we see over here is the customer ID, where it's telling you all the columns and the types of it, and whether it falls in a certain classification or not in the data asset. Another good thing is about managing the access policy that we just saw right now, that you can actually have a granular access to things. Instead of getting to a top level view, we can actually get into things and give a granular access as well. And that defines things really nicely as well. Um, again, data products, what are the data products? The data products are actually the culmination of the entities that are available to you. It could be customers, it could be marketing, it could be anything else as well. Then let's move a little bit towards the data quality as well, which is super important to us as we discuss the trio and how things are actually managed in there. The data quality was one of the parts in which we want to make sure that whatever is you're putting in for the data governance is supposed to be of top notch, top level quality. You can see these are actually telling you the health of separate entities, and this health quality score is actually defined based on the policies or the classification that you put on top of it. Whether you have the data specific to certain categories, whether the data is falling out of it. The health controls are actually given to the access and the use of the data itself as well. You can see that there's a current score, and you can put in the target as well. Now, this is defined by the stakeholders and the SMEs that are putting in the information, trying to see how exactly we can get to a place. And again, the way the UI has been set up, it's telling you if it's in the red zone, if it's in the green zone, and it gives you recommendations as well as to how you want to move towards setting it up into the green zone. So you get out of any kind of bad, like any kind of irrational kind of outcome that might come out from there. And definitely when we get to the discoverability as well, there is something that the health control is telling you that, for example, what I'm pointing at right now is the data product connection, and the health goes along with all the parts, not just the tables or the data points that we have. So that makes it very easy for us to manage things and keep things into ship shape, get everything, or get all the logical attributes into a singular place and manage it properly. Then there is a data product search where Microsoft is trying to put in the best NLP usage. We've actually seen the best NLP usage of natural language in Copilot that has come up in Fabric as well. But over here as well, you see that what we're typing is a single normal language in English. I'm saying I'm looking for 2023 revenue data, and it's just going to bring in all the stuff that is important to it, essential to it, not just the tabular data or the column data, but actually the US sales revenue insights or the Canada sales revenue insights 2023, and it's going to be it's in a way that it's very understandable by the final users or the stakeholders that are not even tech savvy. It's good for the citizen developers as well, and you can check it out. Along with that, the Copilot has been infused with the new the purview, where you can have a crosstalk on the discoverable elements that have been just shown to you. So you can say, I'm actually looking for our 2023 revenue or the program that is proliferated here, or the profit data that's coming in. And on top of that, what you get is a conversational style information. So you don't have to go in and start doing that. Something like that we have already seen in Power BI as well, where the reports or the dashboards are getting made all by itself, and you can actually have a transactional, informational talking points in the Copilot to create the report as you want. And they have shifted that to Purview as well, and we've been very excited if that this has come up. Again, there is another prompt that we're giving it. Can you help me find a data set with the golden records of our customer accounts? And it actually it knows what the golden records are, and definitely because we have classified it as such. We have a collection that is made of that, and it brings us the golden records of the customer accounts on a single touch as well. And as you go about it, there's a cache that is getting built up in the background. So every time you go into it and start talking to it or getting to know information out of it, it would get faster and faster because it knows what are the data touch points that you're most interested in. and gives you the things right in the way that you would love to actually have it. And this actually enables you to achieve the best agility, also enables you to apply the domain expertise that exists in each of the organization as well. We see the customer masters, and we have been very, it gives you the prompts as well. I mean, if you guys have been using the Power BI previously as well, there have been smart narrations that come up along with it. So there are suggestions as to the data that might be important to you and you might want to go with about it. And the prompts are given here as well. Now we are moving towards seeing the request access, as Sher just showed it in the previous version of the preview as well, that access can be actually given on a granular level. And since you have in this new preview one, the UI differences actually make it very easy to use, because you know exactly what kind of access you can ask for. It has already been set by the owner or the master of the entity on a very granular base, that this person can, for him or her or them, there is a certain set of access that they can go for, and you don't have to go to your IT team to ask for it. You can just go on the screen and ask for the access yourself and see the options, or the like the level that you can get the data on as well. Now the benefits of the great data management and governance eventually accrue towards a simple experience for your data consumers to be able to discover and understand the data. So data discovery is great, data product search is great, and this is exactly what we wanted to go with and have for you. And we want to actually thank the Microsoft for that, for taking a leap towards the purview. We're very excited and very much looking forward to actually implement this on your data stage as well. Now, moving on to the next one. The challenges that we see in the data governance, definitely there are a lot of tools. There are a lot of exciting stuff that's happening around as well. But I think Mr. Shah would very much agree that there are certain challenges in data governance that we do not want to, get away from. And this is something that we put in front of all our customers before we start with them. And all the audiences should know that siloed data, or no context of data, or large volumes of historical data, or labs in data quality are some of the big challenges that are there before even data governance can even begin. I mean, to begin with the data quality, one of the most significant challenges we see in the data governance is that arise due to data quality not happening. For example, there are, I mean, basic things, like there are no null checks, or the ETL pipelines are not made the right way. So we definitely recommend assessments before we even begin with data governance. The strategy, before we even just start with the strategy, we go with assessment to see exactly what kind of context do you have for the data. We have certain questions to ask. What if the data is in silos or not? How much volume of the historical data there is, because that would actually accrue the time and the baggage that we have to carry on. And again, data quality has to be checked in. And in an assessment, we check everything across from end to end, documented, put it into the Bible, for everybody to have a transparent look. And then only then we can move towards the next stage of what we call a data strategy, or a data governance as part of the data strategy in a whole. After we are done with assessment and everything, we go towards the maturity model with all of our esteemed clients or customers. But let's assess your company together now, whatever we can. Let's take a look together to figure out where your organization stands. And the maturity model actually provides valuable insights into an organization's data governance journey, helping shape future goals and strategies. So there are certain phases, and as we see and we define them, you can, put yourself in a certain space, certain phase, and see for yourself where you are, and we move you from there. So starting from the phase 0, which is the unaware, and the initial phase where organization may find themselves in an unaware of the potential benefits of data governance. But I think Sher and I would concur that after this webinar, or after this informative session, you would not be in the unaware zone. You would be at least in the phase 1 aware that data governance is super important. And the organizations that are in the aware zone, organizations progress to the aware zone, and then they begin to recognize the lack of ownership and sponsorship of data governance. And that definitely comes from a bunch of fears of losing data, or the privacy and the protection not being enough for them, or sometimes, like the incentives as the government regulations are coming in and we have to get to the certain part. And there is cultural development as well, where people are aware that, we need to tailor data governance framework to address the immediate plans and get rid of the pain points of the organization. Then there is phase 2 and 3, which are the reactive and the proactive. Moving into this phase signify the more comprehensive approach to data governance, where the organization can establish a comprehensive data governance framework that covers all aspects of it. There is a strategy, there is cultural development, there is cleaning going on, and establishment of a data governance office and a team as well. As we just discussed, that there are certain entities that can take up this and mature your model all the way to the end. Then we have phase 4 and 5, which is the managed and effective. In this one, we can say that this is the most mature level. This stage, the organization data governance is actually taking a look into the history books. They have a Bible in place. They know exactly who to go to for our data. They know exactly what the archival policies are. They know exactly if the new data is coming in, or if there's a new source getting plugged in, what kind of impact it would have, what kind of place it would have in the lineage, and all of that information actually makes implementation and then decision making at the end of the day very easy and suitable for decision makers as well. So if you find yourself in managed and effective, congratulations, you're a big fan of yours. But if you find yourself in an aware, reactive, or the proactive, we are here to take you to the most mature stage. We're happy to do that, and that's what we are most excited about and love to do. And for that, we have actually managed to put together quick offerings for you, so that you know exactly which direction to move in. First, there is a briefing on unified data governance with Microsoft and beyond. We work very closely with Microsoft, as you can yourself see. Mr. Sher is a very senior a person in the Microsoft entity itself, and he has a team of his own. Whenever we start working with you, Mr. Shah comes along with all his expertise and his team, and we sit together with Veraqor and Microsoft jointly does the briefings with you and derive a plan for you to move to the next stage and make you successful at it. And this is a free session. We discuss all of the pain points that you have and the business program that you have and move you into the right direction. The next one is that if you already know and have an understanding about what we are going to be doing in unified data governance, there is assessment, as I already told you. Before we even start with the data strategy or a data governance program, we want to assess where you are. We want to know exactly what your maturity level is, so that we can have a customized roadmap for you and take you to there. It typically takes 2 weeks for us to know exactly where you stand, and then we have a full roadmap for you to push you into the right direction and get you what you really need. Then there is proof of concept. When we're done with the assessment, if you want to test the waters as to how good my data can look and how much juicier can I make it and how fast can I get to the decision making, then this is exactly for you, where we take around 3 weeks to put up a POC for you, pick up some of the data streams and show you exactly how things are going to be. So the approach goes like requirement exploration, we get the solution crafting, we sit with you, we know exactly how, we tell you exactly how the solution will be crafted, and we craft it for you in your environment. And then we do a POC implementation with the Azure. Keep everything to the minimal. We show you how to keep the cost in place, show you how to optimize the cost as well, so that it doesn't get too burdensome on you. And then give you the most out of everything that you can imagine. And then finally, there is implementation after you're full-fledged, knowingly know that exactly what we are moving with. We have a full-fledged implementation program, which we very much recommend to all our customers, given the official legislations that are coming in, given the incentives that you have in order to move to the right direction. This takes around 2 to 4 months, depending on what the size of the company is. And there are certain incentives that Microsoft actually gives for all of these, for assessment as well, for POC and for implementation as well. So there are monetary incentives, or there are technological incentives that are given by Microsoft. So we can actually help you avail those as well. And once you get on board with us. And for this implementation, everything is end to end. You have the prophecy, you have the purview. And again, I would like to mention that we are a gold partner with prophecy as well. So we know exactly how to put it in place and get you the MDM of your dreams. And with that, I would like to say that thank you for your amazing time. And thank you for attending it all the way to the fullest. And especially, I would like to thank Mr. Shah as well for taking out the time and dispensing the great information that he had. We have a lot to learn from him as well. And we thank the Microsoft for bringing us all together in the technical zone. And we look forward to see you again and connect with you. Reach us out at mtu@veracor.io. And if Mr. Shah had a final word, please go ahead.
No, I'll like to thank you, Father, and Veracor team for inviting me. Yeah, happy to participate and collaborate with you guys.
Thank you so much. Everybody
Thank
take
you.
care. Thank you.